It started like most stories do. Not with fireworks, not with suspicion, but with comfort. With routine. I'd been married to Alyssa for 6 years. We met in college, both fresh and reckless, drawn to each other like gravity. She was the type of woman who turned heads without trying, the kind of energy that lit up a room. And me? I was her calm in the storm, or so I thought. My best friend, Darren, had been a part of my life even longer. We grew up a few streets apart, spent summers barefoot in the grass, dreamed about making it big. He was the brother I never had. When I got married, he stood next to me. When he got laid off, I offered him work through my design firm. Trust didn't feel earned between us. It felt inevitable. Everything cracked the night I came home early from a conference. My flight had been canceled, the storm outside too violent for air traffic, but I managed to get on a standby seat that landed me back home 6 hours earlier than expected. The house was dark except for a flicker of light from our bedroom. At first, I smiled. Maybe Alyssa had lit the candles she loved so much, the vanilla-scented ones she insisted made her feel safe. But the moment I stepped closer, I heard a sound I hadn't heard in months, her laugh. Playful. Breathless. I froze. That wasn't a laugh she gave to me anymore. It wasn't the kind that slipped out during sitcom reruns or on lazy Sunday mornings. It was different, intimate. Alive. I opened the door. The air felt stolen from my lungs. Darren. My best friend. In my bed. With my wife. Alyssa gasped and covered herself with the sheets. Darren's eyes met mine, wide, guilt-ridden, but not surprised. Like he had rehearsed what he'd say in this moment 1,000 times and still hadn't found the right words. I didn't scream. I didn't throw punches. I backed out of the room, my body numb, my hands trembling. I went downstairs, sat on the cold kitchen tiles, and stared at the fridge. The magnets, the pictures of our last trip to the coast, the birthday card Darren had given me just 2 weeks ago. To my brother, always. Alyssa came down, wearing my hoodie like that would soften the betrayal. It wasn't supposed to happen, she whispered. The weight of her words made me sick. How long? I asked, voice flat. She hesitated. 6 months. 6 months. I stared at her, at the woman I had made promises to, built dreams with, cried and laughed with, and I felt nothing. Not even hate. Just the hollow realization that the two people I had trusted most had made a mockery of everything we shared. I left that night. No suitcase, no plans, just my car keys and the sting in my chest that made it hard to breathe. I drove for hours, not knowing where I was going, until I found myself at an old rest stop we used to visit during our road trips. I parked, turned off the engine, and let myself fall apart. The days that followed were brutal. I moved in with my cousin, shut off my phone, and didn't show up for work. I didn't cry. I couldn't. It felt like crying would give them too much. Instead, I wrote pages and pages of everything I wanted to scream. Letters to Alyssa, to Darren, to the man I used to be before they crushed him. They tried to contact me. Dozens of calls. Emails. Apologies wrapped in excuses. Darren said he never meant to hurt me. Alyssa said she felt unseen. They both said it just happened. But betrayal doesn't just happen. It grows in the spaces where loyalty is supposed to live. It takes root when choices are made, over and over again. To step further away from someone and closer to the lie. I returned to my house 2 weeks later. Alone. The scent of her perfume still lingered. Her things were gone though. A note left on the coffee table read, "I'll respect your space. I'm sorry." I didn't respond. Instead, I sold the house. Every memory inside those walls felt poisoned. I resigned from my firm too. Couldn't bear to work in the same space where Darren once sat beside me. Starting over wasn't heroic. It was hard. Lonely. But healing, I learned, doesn't ask for perfection. It just asks for movement. I started running. Not from them, but toward something I could own. My strength. My dignity. I took a teaching job at a small community college, mentoring kids who reminded me of a younger version of myself. Full of fire but unsure of the path ahead. I traveled alone. Saw places Alyssa always said we'd visit, but never did. Italy. Japan. Iceland. With time, the wound didn't disappear, but it stopped bleeding. One day, I received a message from Darren. Years had passed. It said, I lost everything. She left. I think about what I did every day. I don't expect forgiveness. I just wanted you to know I finally understand what I destroyed. I didn't reply. Not because I hated him, but because his apology wasn't for me. It was for his own conscience. Alyssa reached out too. A letter handwritten. She'd moved to another city, remarried, had a child. But she wrote that no matter how many milestones she reached, something always felt off. Empty. She asked if I could ever find it in me to meet for coffee, to talk. Not about the past, but about who we had become. I folded the letter and placed it in a drawer. Sometimes closure doesn't come from confrontation. Sometimes it comes from silence. From knowing you no longer owe anyone your pain. Today I live in a quiet town by the mountains. I met someone. Her name is Eliza. We don't talk about the scars unless we need to. She loves simply, honestly. There's no drama, no mind games. Just presence. And yet, every now and then, when I close my eyes at night, I remember that moment in the doorway. That flash of betrayal. It doesn't haunt me, but it reminds me that trust is sacred, that peace is earned, that no matter how hard we fall, we are always capable of standing again. Even after the ultimate betrayal.